Welcome to the You Can't Afford Me podcast, where we skip the fluff and dive straight into the grind. Real entrepreneurs, real struggles, and the unfiltered journey behind success. Let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on another episode of the You Can't Afford Me podcast. So it's not often that I walk into a space and my jaw just drops. My team was filming for a great nonprofit here locally in Unison, and this location was hosting the event, and I heard so many people just talking about how beautiful the space was, how it flowed, the feng shui, like all those fancy terms you hear. And one of the developers, one of the owners, I was able to meet him while I was at the event, and I was like, dude, we got to talk, man. Like the science he was giving me behind this space and everything, I was like, yeah, we need to chat a little bit. So today on the podcast, we got Christian. Christian, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you? Thanks
awesome,
for having
man.
me.
For sure. So real quick, just give everybody a quick rundown who you are and what you do.
I can do that. I am one of the founders of Lost Office Collaborative. And like you said, it is a team deep workspace, but it's also designed kind of around an idea of like quasi consulting and coaching as well. So we help teams as much as we give them space.
Nice. All right, so let's go all the way back before this business that you're involved in. What was your start? Where did you grow up? Did you go to school for this? Like, talk us through it.
Man, I don't think they have school for this.
School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, right. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. Came from a family of like small business owners. My dad was part of, back before our times, Markow florist. Mm-hmm. Immigrants that came from the Ukraine and started a kickstand flower shop in the farmer's market, et cetera.
Yeah.
So all to say, that's important because I think I've always had this idea of small business in my blood. Mm-hmm. Growing up and watching a family kind of do the hard work that you need to do to sustain a business for yourself and your family. And
I'm so glad you said it, because I always tell people that I think entrepreneurship is in your blood. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah, I think that's largely true. I mean, you either want to do it or you don't.
Yeah.
And neither is bad or good.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, fast forward to the school years. Now, I mean, I graduated as a English major with a concentration in creative writing. I always wanted to be a writer and a storyteller, and non-traditionally kind of zigged and zagged through different types of careers. I worked at a magazine publisher in Orlando for a while, and then found my way into nonprofit. Mm-hmm. Worked at United Way, actually. Found my way back up here after that. Then worked at a public relations firm. Back in the day, it was Carter Raleigh Thomas, and now it's Padilla locally. Moved over to creative consulting. If anyone watching the podcast was around 10, 15 years ago, they'll remember Play and Andy Stefanovich.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I worked there, and then we got acquired by this global brand and growth consultancy called Profit, and did everything from concepting the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas and the restaurants and bars and overall experience there to doing experience design work for Chick-fil-A, doing product concepting for places like Pepsi and Campbell's, and worked for big banks, big insurance companies, et cetera.
Yeah.
Left because that's when the bug hit. I wanted to do something where I felt like the work that we did was more intimate and meaningful for our clients, and that we didn't just like leave them with, the infamous like 90-page PowerPoint decks and ideas that you never know what happens to them. So we started Joe Smith, myself, and at the time my business partner Barry Saunders, and that went really great, successful, got acquired here locally by Padilla. And that team's still there, but the bug hit again. And myself and my business partner, Mark Brown, kind of saw and felt in very real ways this gap in the world for places that were solely designed to bring people together in meaningful ways. And so we center that around, businesses and corporations and teams that are trying to meet, whether it's an offsite, a strategic planning session, a board meeting, or whatever. But the offerings out there that exist for people to kind of get away are either way too, resorty, way too conference centery, way too meeting roomy, or it's the corporate campus or the room inside your building.
Yeah.
And none of them get your brain in the right state of mind. They don't give you the tools and the support you need to have the right conversations. So I think that from a technical level, and then from a philosophical level, like I think when we first met, I told you the same thing. Mark and I both have seen the world and everyone in the world kind of like going the wrong way from each other. As human beings, we're all going this way. We're finding camps and separating from each other individually. We're all kind of isolating a little bit more every day. And we need to find ways to pull people back together.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the inspiration for Lost Office.
So that's a colorful career path that you've had. Let's go back. So in the marketing space, so you say you were an English major in college?
Yes.
So what took you from majoring in English to getting into the marketing space?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I mean, naturally, I think in marketing and brand strategy and those kinds of things, you're creating stories.
Yeah.
Right. You're trying to share and tell a story. So I had always been on the creative side,
Gotcha.
And the development of narrative, story, message, those kinds of things. And then to me, the natural the kind of transition from that into concepting work and innovation work for clients was like every space is a story. Every experience, every company has a story that they tell, not just by their products and service, but the way you experience the human beings and the space itself.
Absolutely.
So it was, to me, like it was natural to move from a liberal arts degree that was, solely focused on like putting things together, words and sentences together, tell a story, to doing the same thing with pieces and parts of a business.
Talk about what it was like working, because you dropped some pretty major brand names in your story. So you said Campbell. What were some of the other big ones you named?
Chick-fil-A, Abbott.
Chick-fil-A, that was the one to call out.
Yeah.
So what were you doing on these projects with major companies like that?
Yeah, it varied. For an organization.
Well, I should first ask, do you still have a Chick-fil-A hookup? You got some free chicken sandwiches?
Every once in a while, yeah.
Okay.
Every once in a while. I can find a way. If I can't, I'll just buy you one. For an organization like Chick-fil-A, we were doing work helping them with basically experience design, service design, rethinking like their drive-through experience, which has a lot of pressure on it.
Which they literally have, like, I've said it multiple times. I'm sure most people in America have said, like, Chick-fil-A should be running like the DMV and like different government entities. Like if everything could run as smoothly as Chick-fil-A, this world would be a much better place.
Yeah, and they work hard at it, you know? So, and you can see some of the manifestations of work that we did like years ago, like starts to show up 3-4 years later. Like there's a couple of drive-throughs that were retrofits in the city here where it was inspired by some of the work we did with their team.
So was that more of the layout in terms of like how you have the double lanes for pulling in, or was it like
it's all that. It's the service model. It's the flow, how it all kind of happens.
Yeah.
So we would help teams kind of like not just like come up with that concept specifically, but really define the problem. Yeah. Go through the process of invention around the different ways you could like address what the problem was they were dealing with, and then create all the pieces and parts and the details around that.
Yeah. So being that your mind kind of caters to, because it's not often I talk to somebody where like, this is why I love talking to different humans, is because like our brains all work completely different. Yeah. And like what you're describing in terms of like strategy and the customer experience, like my brain has never gone. I've been in business for myself for 10 years. My brain has never gone there. Of course, I've thought about customer service and things, but like scientifically, the way you're getting into this. So like, let's say a brand new company starting, let's say it's a service-based business. So it could be a plumber, electrician, a media firm, whatever it is. What are 3 tips you give people in terms of like making sure that their clients have a good experience?
That's good. I'd say, I think about it in layers. Fundamentally, like it doesn't matter what you do with your experience or your philosophy, your culture. If your baseline product isn't good, forget about it, right? And they're organizations that forget that. They focus so much on the brand or all those kinds of things. They forget, like, man, just like back to the Chick-fil-A example, it's like, make sure the 2 pickles on the bottom of the sandwich are perfectly placed, right? Make sure that the chicken is hot and that it's cooked well, like all that kind of stuff. Like,
you can say it's my pleasure all day, but if the food sucks, I'm not coming back.
Right, you're not coming back. So baseline is always gut check that your product is high quality, whether it's a service or a product. Just keep the processes in place, or put processes in place that help you evaluate that on a regular basis. But then, I think one of the things that we're firm believers in that I think help people differentiate themselves in a very crowded market. Doesn't matter if you're, a plumber or a grocery store owner or working for a big corporation or, starting like a whole new like AI startup. They all face the same problem, which is there are 100 others of you in your neighborhood.
Yep.
And once you've got that base product right and your pricing is generally the same, then the question becomes, who do I like better?
Yeah.
And then that's where experience strategy kind of comes into play, which is really kind of stake a claim on how you behave, and how you show up is different than your competitors. And it's memorable.
Yeah.
And that's what we focus on too, is that I always use this phrase, like in the kind of the entrepreneur startup world, everyone's looking for a unicorn company, right?
Yeah.
Someone that's going to make them $1 billion.
Yeah, the next Uber or Facebook or whatever.
Guess what? That's 0.001% of the companies that get created.
Yep.
The rest of them have to fight on differentiation. And to fight on differentiation, you got to be thinking about what makes us stand out and what makes us different. So that's everything from, the personality of your brand, the way you show up from a fit and finish perspective, right? But also like the human beings. And how do you like create a culture of people that behave in a way that both feels good to you internally, but also feels good to your customer.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be different.
Yeah.
For every company.
Steve Jobs, he's like the GOAT of entrepreneurs to me.
Yeah.
He's the one I studied the most. And he talked about how when he leveled up Apple during his second tenure, when he came back after they kicked him off the first time he came back, his primary focus wasn't, he was a designer, he was a creative, but his number one focus was acquiring the best possible people he could to come work at Apple. And he said that made all the difference. That's what took Apple to the next stratosphere, is focusing on the people and the personalities. Because at the end of the day, like, someone can find another company like us that can film video for them or produce a podcast or whatever it is, but people never forget how you make them feel.
Right.
And if you give them the right experience and they feel good about it, why would they not come back?
Yeah, there's also something else that I remember them talking about, and I'm sure the organization has changed a bit since then, but rumor or not, I believe that I read that they never used to really do like customer focus groups for their products.
Yep.
Because the thought was like
customers they don't know what they want.
Well, you get everyone around the table. It's like, let's build something that we would want.
Yeah.
Right? And that we would love. And if we can do that, we're kind of our customer.
Yep.
So insular, but also kind of, important is like the obsession of commitment to like quality and just the love of the product.
Yeah. I mean, he became obsessed with that. You even think of the box when you open up your iPhone and how the box feels when you're opening and the packaging and the little stickers. And
that vacuum feel is there for a reason.
Yes. And everybody loves that first time, like you pull the seal off your new iPhone. Like, it's just a whole experience that you get there.
Which gets to my last and third piece, which is details. And, you had kind of talked about the space over at Lost Office. And I always tell people every single thing in that space was chosen for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't just like say, oh, just put something in that corner.
Yeah.
Like the books are all chosen for a reason, right? The colors. So in any business that we ever work with, we always talk about like the details, because the details is where, authenticity and humanity lie. Like that's where the real stuff is.
Yeah.
And you can see through it when it's not real. Like you can see it when the details aren't there.
What is it that you like with someone with your experience? I mean, obviously, starting up businesses and working for these major corporations. What is it about Richmond that is drawing you here in the business community?
At one point in my life, I was like, should I go live somewhere else? And I did, right? I moved down to Orlando, and I'm glad I did that. I met my wife down there. We came back, right?
Yeah.
Came back to, it's too hot.
But it's pretty hot in Virginia now.
It is now. It's all creeping up. I think that the beautiful thing about Richmond, Virginia, is that, I feel like every like interesting creative city's got like a flavor. Like I think about like, Austin, and they talk about, Austin weird, or, Portland's got kind of its own flavor. And I feel like in Richmond, there's a lot of creativity and a lot of innovation and a lot of startups happening. But there's kind of like a practical, kind of like more human vibe here.
Yeah.
That it just feels like more real.
Yeah. People like to connect here. Like when we're doing business with people in Richmond, we want to get to know you. Let's go out to dinner. Let's go play around the golf. Like let's really get to know each other.
And it's just it's not so forced.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that and you can see Richmond kind of on this great trajectory. A little slower maybe than other places, but sometimes with slow comes greatness.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to really build your roots well. And you just see Richmond kind of turning into this really like, small maybe, but very sturdy and solid, like startup creative community, small businesses community, just a great town.
Yeah. I mean, you got one of the most creative universities in VCU.
Yeah.
You got companies like, on a much higher scale in the marketing space, the Martin Agency. You got a couple Fortune 500 companies just sitting downtown, like in our backyard. You got your Capital Ones. You got your Dominion Energies. You got UNOS, which transplants all the organs for the entire country. Like, it's all downtown Richmond. Like, Richmond's got a lot going on.
It does.
Yeah, and the festivals and business seminars now that we're starting to see. I'm excited for where Richmond is right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Lost Office. So first off, how did you come up with that name?
Lost Office, we went through probably 200, 300, 400
Of course.
But I think what landed us on Lost Office was we wanted, there's a philosophy in naming, which is like not everyone's going to like it. Some people think it's bad. Some people think it's good. We just want to remember it.
Yeah.
Right? So as long as it's memorable, I don't care if you like it or not. You'll eventually like it.
Yep.
Right?
Name's just a name until you give it meaning.
Right? It's a herald.
Yeah.
But the idea of Lost Office was pretty simple, which was in the world of teams and corporations and organizations, everyone's always feeling like they're missing that utopian like office or corporate or team experience, right? They go into the office and they're like, oh, why can't it be like this place that feels like an office should?
Yeah.
And they can't find it, right? So we kind of named it after that. Like, this is the office that you feel like is lost. So Lost Office was born out of that.
Now, describe for the people that are listening, I want you to describe what this space looks like. Because truly, I'll say, if you're in the Richmond area, you need to come experience this. You need to see this firsthand. But kind of paint a picture for people what this space looks like.
Okay. So just from a functional perspective, the space is designed for teams. Right? It's not co-working. It's not like offices. It's designed for teams to come and use the space for a day or a week or however long they need it, right? But if you walk through the doors, we've often heard people say, for some reason my shoulders just dropped and I don't know why. So imagine walking into our front doors and all of a sudden kind of the mood around you just changes, right? Yeah. Our space is what I would call like calm but energetic colors, a lot of greens and natural organic colors, mushroom colors, those kinds of things on the walls. We have well over 200 live plants throughout the space that we have a massive ladder that we have to get up to and take care of. So imagine like plants kind of in a very elegant way taking over every room in their own way.
And we're going to dive more into the plants, but keep going.
Okay. And then when you look at all the furnishings inside, everything looks comfortable.
Yes.
but you can't really pinpoint where it's from, right? It's got a global feel to it. It doesn't feel like it's very, North American or European or Asian or hipster or whatever. It just has a vibe that feels like I'm somewhere different. The scent is distinct and intentional. It feels fresh and energizing, but also it feels like outside.
Yeah.
There's light music playing in the background. Sometimes it's real music. Sometimes it's ambient. Sometimes there's something in there that's intended to like sync up your brain somehow. But a lot of, stone, a lot of wood, and a lot of interesting small things around the space that capture your attention for a moment.
Yeah.
And big, huge 18-foot ceilings in every single room with plants hanging from the ceilings and chandeliers that were handmade by small Etsy, artisans in the Ukraine and Malaysia. And a general kind of like lighting that just feels warm and friendly and inviting.
Like the sign, and those are the pieces I want to break down because like when you and I had like 5-10 minutes to chat briefly, like you're breaking down the science of the lighting there with the plants and everything like that. So first let's start with the plants because I found this fascinating. This is when I was like, dude, I got to talk to this guy more. So I think I had mentioned to you when we were briefly talking that I saw this on an episode of Grey's Anatomy where in the hospital they built a plant room. So if anybody was feeling stressed, it was this room that they went into and it literally felt like you were walking into a jungle, like just plants wall to wall to wall. Talk to us about the science with plants and what live plants does to human beings when you're working in a space that has plants.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of great science and research on plants. There are some great studies on that were done in hospitals that demonstrated that patients who were in rooms that had plant life and or a window for them to be able to view nature healed faster, right? There are some great studies, I think out of the Netherlands, that showed that people who had plants in their offices, and when I say plants, I don't mean like just a little small plant like in the corner. They had like enough of them, more than just one. But when they were near plants, it showed that their stress levels dropped by about 10% and their ability to focus increased by about the same amount.
Which we all need that in the workforce.
Right? And then there's just the pure like scientific reality or just the structural reality of a plant is that it is producing oxygen for you and it's pulling in the stuff that you don't need, the carbon dioxide, right? So they're natural cleansers and certain plants are better at it than other ones.
Yeah.
But they're there to kind of purify the air too. So
I should have told my team before you got here, man. Get these fake
more
plants out of here.
More.
Let's get the real plants before Christian gets here.
You got them. But yeah, I mean, and so we use them because of the science behind them. Yeah, they add beauty to the space, but
people
part
are more
of that
productive
shoulder
when
drop
they're in there. Yeah,
part of that shoulder drop comes from this immediate sense of and of feeling like all of a sudden I'm connecting in a way that I didn't realize I needed to. The kind of the history of the human DNA, right, is that 200,000 years ago, we lived in the forests and we hid from our predators, right, and the trees that protected us, certain kinds of trees like cypress emitted certain chemicals or elements in them that protected that tree from bacteria and insects, but it also became something that when we smelled it, it helped de-stress us. The science behind Hinoki cypress and the essential oil inside of that is that it actually reduces your cortisol levels. It will lower your cortisol levels when you inhale it. Oof. Not like immediately, but like within a day or two. Yeah. Right? So there's very real data behind plant life that shows that it can impact your productivity, your ability to focus, your sense of kind of like just like stress level. So it's something that we don't necessarily take. I don't say we don't take it seriously, but we take it for granted. Yeah. Like, so then you see corporations and they have like a plant in the corner, and that person that comes by and waters it every once a week, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's nowhere near enough.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's give us an example. Let's say, just for easy math, let's say a business has 1,000 square foot office.
Oh my gosh.
How many
Don't ask me to
plants
do
should
math.
they? How many plants roughly should they have in that building?
That is a good question. I don't know if I've ever done that math. I think about it more like from a visualization. So for example, where you are right now, like you've got a plant right there in the corner, but it's a nice size plant. But if you added 2 more beside it, then all of a sudden it would start to feel substantial, right? And then you would feel the impact of that being next to you more so than even you do right now.
Yeah,
And
honestly, don't even recognize that it's there right now.
yeah, and I do, right? But that alone, like, and to me, it's more about like substance.
Yeah.
Right? You want it to be significant enough that it doesn't just feel like decoration. It feels like you said, like you're almost like immersed in it a little bit. It's
got a purpose.
Overkill, you know, you got a gnat problem you got to worry about, right? Like you got to be careful about how far you go.
Plus, somebody's got to keep them alive.
Yeah, someone's got to keep them alive.
Let's talk about the lighting piece. So we've nerded out on the plant stuff. Talk to me about the lighting and like how the different hues and temperatures. Like I understand this obviously somewhat being in production, but the way you described it is like a lot of people like will joke with us when they get here to our office, because if you go in all the individual offices, everybody's office is pretty dim. Like we use a lot of natural light, like, and I have accent lights and stuff in my office. And a lot of people walk in here like, why is it so dark in here? And I'm like, this is the only way as creatives, like we typically work. Like we don't like I call them the hospital lights overhead, where it's just got that bad tungsten light on there. So talk about the science behind lighting and how that affects productivity.
So let's start with temperature, which you're very well aware of being in the kind of company you are. But like when you think about temperatures in a range, and people will see them like on the shelves at Home Depot or Lowe's, like, and the ranges will be down in the 2000s or up in the 5+, right? And so the difference is warm light versus like broad daylight, super white light. There is science, and this super white light has more blue in it, and then down here it's got more kind of red tones in it. There is science that shows that the brighter white lights help create attentiveness, which is true, right? There is that kind of, and you feel it in TVs with blue lights and on your phones and stuff, and it kind of keeps you alert. There's a point where that becomes bad. Because it also increases your stress levels, and you become hyper attentive, right? And so then you can't concentrate. So there's a careful balance. You go way too low in your lighting temperature, and it becomes almost like too sleepy, right? And so you have to kind of manage where that sweet spot is. But that said, you know, there is to us a sweet spot in like the 2,500 to 3,500 space where it feels warm, but still has some energy to it, right? So it gives you enough kind of like feeling of like natural light that it feels kind of like energizing. Then you've got this other layer of the type of lighting. And I think the issue of fluorescence is kind of quickly starting to leave. Like fluorescent lighting is probably the worst invention in the world because it flickers at a really high rate.
Yeah, we have to adjust cameras, like the shutter speed of the camera. If we're filming, like you can see a flicker, and you have to change the shutter speed to match it so that
insane.
It doesn't do that. Yeah,
that I did not know. Yeah, and so like if you're in a building with fluorescent light, that is going to make it really hard for you to concentrate, and it has for decades.
And there's something also with, I used to work in the mental health space, autistic kids. If you have that kind of lighting around them, it's very hard for them to focus because they're actually like hearing the light. Like they can hear the flicker, and like it's just visually messing them up.
That is so true. My daughter is on the spectrum, and she's super sensitive to a lot of things. So noise, light, you know, all those kinds of things affect her. And so, like finding those even tempered moments is so important. Which is, you bring up a really great point. One of the things we also try and be thoughtful of is kind of neurodiversity in a space. You know, like I have ADHD, which kind of got me down this path of trying to understand like the neuroscience of how the brain works. But For me, if I sit in a chair that doesn't move for too long, you'll start to see me move. I probably don't even realize that I've moved probably 3 or 4 times already here, right? And I move my hands a lot because of that.
Yep.
So we try and accommodate for that. Lighting's a part of that, but the way that you kind of think about furnishings in a space also do that. Sorry, tangent, but yeah, back to the lighting. Natural light, if you can get it, hugely important.
It's the best.
And then if you can't, it's about managing your lighting temperatures as much as you can. LEDs have definitely been a massive innovation, allowing us to do that without costing, an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a layup.
Yeah.
Opportunity to improve the kind of like the productivity inside your building is to be thinking about where the lighting is working and where it's not.
Yeah. And this is something I hope every business owner is like truly locked in on this conversation, because, if I look at just throwing out a number, let's say I spent $400 in plants, but productivity with my team went up 50%. That's a hell of a return.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
People do not, in honesty, companies are not trying to make those associations.
Yeah.
Right? So let's take a building that's, 20,000, 100,000 square feet, right? And you're trying to fill that space with plants. There were some studies back when kind of the idea of biophilic design came online. I want to say back in the 60s and even before that, but in the 60s or 70s, I'm going to get it wrong, but I think it was ING Bank in the Netherlands took 4 or 5 years to build their first corporate office off of biophilic design, and their entire kind of like lobby area was just like nature.
Yeah.
They actually had data that showed that productivity overall in the organization increased because of the plant life.
And people probably were looking forward to coming to work.
Yeah, and they actually had team members or employees would volunteer to take care of the plants in the first floor level.
Yeah.
So there is data out there that demonstrates the direct correlation between plant life or organic materials in a space and its impact on productivity. Most people don't. They think it's like a joke, right? Or they don't take it seriously. But yes, very real.
It's those little things, like the things I've learned as I've gotten older and grown in business a little bit more, is that the uber successful people that, some of us strive to attain certain levels, all they did was change some minute things in their life. Like at one point I had as a black dude, man, my hair grows so fast. Like it's literally like every week, if not every other week, that I need.
You don't have to be black to have your hair grow really fast. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
But it's like when I first started dating my wife, because she's not black, she was like, "Geez, you're gonna get another haircut again?" I'm like, "That's how fast my hair grows. Like I don't know what to tell you." So a life hack that I had for a while, I had a barber come by here at my office and cut my hair. And during that scheduled time, it normally takes like an hour to cut my hair and do the beard. I'm meeting with my team. So my team would come there, guys cutting my hair. I'm not going to have 2 birds with one stone.
That's brilliant.
Versus before, like, okay, 30-minute drive to the barbershop, hour cut, 30 minutes back. That's 2 hours of my day, and I wasn't able to do anything business-wise. Now I got him coming to me, and I can do that life hack. So I think, like, finding these minute things where it's like, the way I used to think about people who paid for somebody to cut their grass, I'm like, how lazy is your ass? You can't go out on a Saturday and just cut the grass for an hour, hour and a half. Then I started to realize, if I can go out and earn $150 an hour, why would I do a job that I could pay somebody else $20 an hour to do? Right. It's not saving money. Like, I'd be more productive if I put my time and energy somewhere else and allowed someone else to handle this task. So I think once you start, it's almost like when you're putting together an NBA championship team. Yeah. Like I tell my team all the time, I'm like, hey guys, when I come to you and I'm saying X, Y, and Z, or hey, we need to do X, we need to do this, it's not saying that you guys are doing a bad job. But do you think when the Warriors with Steph Curry and that whole team, when they won their first championship, that Steve Kerr came back the next year and just said, okay, guys, just keep doing what you did last year? Good work. He's fine-tuning, okay, this worked last year, but now we're going to do this. And, we're going to open up Steph this way and do X, Y, and Z. So I think, all these things that you're talking about, how a business can fine-tune their environment, people just have no idea what a life hack that is.
So many things. I mean, I was talking to someone about, it's funny. Years ago, I did this. I went on this weird tirade and talked about like water and how important water was. And I'm literally now seriously talking about how important water is to your ability to think, right, and to be productive.
I'm thinking about getting a filter for our shower. I read a study on that and like talking about if you filter the water that's coming through the shower, how that affects your skin and your personality and all this stuff. Like,
But just putting water, most people don't hydrate well.
Yeah.
Right? And that just, it's like oil in a car, right? If your oil gets too viscous and it starts to slow down, it gums up the engine, right? Yep. And next thing you know, the engine's locking up.
Exactly.
Right? You don't have enough fluid in your body. You don't put enough water in your body. Your blood starts to gum up. It slows everything down in your brain. Like your brain waves are slowing down. Yeah. So little teeny hacks that we don't realize have massive impact on our ability to be creative, our ability to be strategic, to use our critical brains, right? To just be able to focus.
Yeah. When you're driving a Ferrari, you don't go to Walmart to get an oil change. Like,
right.
There's very specific things you need to take it to the next level.
And you take it seriously.
Yeah.
Right? Your body should be a Ferrari.
Absolutely.
No offense, but it should not be a Ford Escort. Think of your body as a Ferrari, not a Ford Escort.
Absolutely.
Treat it well.
Have you written a book or thinking about writing a book? Because if you haven't, man, you need to.
I'm working on one. We've got two things going on. So I'm starting a book. It's called Happy Brains, Better Work. And about halfway through, and it kind of breaks down the brain into the neuroscientific. The real brain is very complicated, very complex, I should say. I try to break it down into two spaces and 4 quadrants. So there's the doing brain, the being brain, and then in each of those you've got kind of like the creative and critical brain, and then you've got the coping brain and the community brain. And each one of those requires kind of different inputs, right, or influences to allow it to kind of be its best self. And so I always think about it as it's not like a DISC assessment or one of these like personality assessments where you're this type of person. It's more about kind of getting an understanding of what capacity is left to take advantage of in any of those brain states, and when should you be trying to like amplify them or juice them up. So the book's kind of about that. It's stuff we're talking about, but at a much deeper level. And at the same time, we're also working on a new platform for innovation over at Lost Office called The Architect, which is taking our kind of like our brain science around collaborative behaviors and those kinds of things and integrating kind of tools and AI and its ability to help you kind of create things, but embedding it into the space so that the technology feels very organic in the space. I know that's a very obtuse explanation of what we're doing, but just think like future forward Jetsons like stuff that we're working on.
So you're all right. Let's park it on the AI subject here for a second. So I feel comfortable sharing this story. I'm the old guy here in my office. Like average age of my staff is like 22, 23. Most of my staff is still on their parents' health insurance right now. We brought it up in one of our weekly meetings. I got to talking about AI, and I basically told the team like, hey, it's on you guys. You need to start researching. I'm going to bring information to the table, but this isn't going to work if like Sam's the only one like driving this AI chat. For instance, like this podcast that we're recording right now, for them to take the footage from these 2 cameras, the mixing board, mix all that together, make the final cuts, produce the final video, and do reels and all these different things. I used to take my guys 4 hours to do. Yeah. Now with 2 AI software applications that we use, this whole process takes them 20 minutes now. Yeah. So it's like, why would you not? But my point with that story, one of the elder staff, I would say at that point, he was probably like 25, 26. He came in my office. He was like, man, I got to tell you, like, I actually took offense to you talking about the AI stuff. I was like, what are you talking about, man? He's like, well, that's an attack on my career. That's an attack on my job. I was like, pause, man. First off, I'm not talking about AI just here at Enzo Media Firm. I'm talking about AI in the world. If you want to be a videographer, creative, director, whatever it is, and you're running away from AI and you think that your job's going to be safe because of that, buddy, nothing but luck to you, because that's not the case. And I always look at it from the perspective of like when you had the horse and buggy and Henry Ford started to mass produce vehicles, and everybody's like, oh, none of the jobs are going to be left because machines are going to take it. No, it just enhances.
What are we going to do with all the horses?
Yeah, it's just we're going to make more glue.
Right.
It just enhances the job. Same thing with the internet. When the internet came out, oh my God, this is going to replace so much. No. So give us your thoughts on AI and where things are going.
Yeah, I think that I think you're spot on in terms of not running away from AI.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the technology is moving faster than anything we've experienced before. So that is certainly a pressure point, right?
You remember like a year ago, you see those AI videos and it was like AI generated and like the person would have like 8 fingers on one hand.
Yeah.
Now you can't tell the
now
difference.
Now they only
in
have
some
6
of those.
fingers.
Yeah.
Right? It's getting much better.
But there's a joke going around now, like, you know, because there'll be like a news reporter and a UFO's coming out the ocean. I saw one of those the other day and the caption was like, man, our grandparents aren't going to know the difference between real and fake news anymore.
Yeah. So here's, and I think that's the most important kind of space is what you're talking about. And one of the things that we're thinking about for like the architect, which is if we don't start now to think about how we engage as human beings with AI, pretty soon everyone's going to forget what good looks like. And what I mean by that is that the more we rely on the technology to tell us the answer, the less we use our critical brains, our creative brains, and the more we say task complete, push it out the door. And you're going to start to see kind of like a lot of sameness in the world, right? It is on us, and we have kind of a philosophy. It's a Socratic learning philosophy. So Socrates, or the idea of Socratic learning philosophy, is Socrates would teach his students by asking questions, engaging in discussion, right? And by doing that, he could get the student to learn better and faster and with more depth. So the way that we're thinking about AI and the way we're training the AI that's embedded in our process and our tools is using a Socratic methodology. So we want it to be asking questions and challenging people to think. And then in hand with that, you know, if you're talking about what does good copy look like, what does good design look like, what does good strategy look like, what does good business financial model look like, we need to know what those things look like when they're good versus bad. So you have to figure out how AI is going to help cultivate that. And we have to also figure out how to get people who are using it to take all this time that they now have, right? All of the things that were process oriented, like are being taken over by this massive taskmaster of AI. There's good in that, and the evil in it is that we'll forget how those tasks were done. So what you can do is start to perfect the art of understanding what good looks like in, you know, film and videography. Like you can spend more time like mastering the creative techniques, using the tool to do the job, but like really thinking about the beauty now that you've got the time, like to really think about the beauty of what you want to create, when before you're like, oh, we don't have enough time to do that.
Absolutely.
Right? No different in the business world, right? You can really like think hard about your pricing strategy or improving your product because you got a tool now that's going to get all this kind of busy work out of the way for you.
Absolutely.
So I think to me, like people should start thinking about now how to lean in, right? Lean into AI in a really strong way. Like really try and learn it. Like curiosity and grit. Go after it, but then get it to free up all those things that are getting in the way of you self-educating and perfecting your art form. And you know what? If you want to keep like, you know, making things by hand, by God, do it, right? There's beauty in that.
That stuff will continue to have value, like because once everything's digital and it's being crafted by a machine or something like that, when someone sees something that's handcrafted, you're going to know the difference between that and something that's like generally manufactured. So like that, that thought process. And I look at it as from the perspective of, I love how, there's some of those menial tasks that it's just like, okay, let's just get AI to take care of this so it frees up my mind for something else. But I shared this in a talk I gave the other week. Anytime I'm going online to buy something, I get on ChatGPT and say, hey, find every discount code you can for this website. I'm about to purchase something here. And then it gives me a discount code every time, and I always save money. So it's like little things like that where it's like, okay, before I would have had to search Google and take the next 15 minutes.
And you would have spent 2 hours.
Yeah, and then 90% of the codes it would have given me wouldn't have worked.
Right.
But ChatGPT now can kick out something that quick and we're good to go. But also getting people to see that, like, we use this as a conversation starter. So when we're thinking of creative ideas for a client's project or something like that, hey, here's the client. Let me input all the information. Here's their brand. Here's their voice. Boom. Give me some ideas on this. It generally does not kick out something where we're like, 1,000% we're going with every single thing that said. It's like, no, this gave us a strong base to work off of. It would have taken us 20, 30 minutes to get that base to begin with before. Now we're starting at a place where now it's only going to take us another 5, 10 minutes to build off that idea and create an organic concept.
And the trick is you're still using your creative, or the key there is that you're still using your creative muscle. You're just starting here instead of here.
Yep.
Right? And so now you spend more time being creative in the detail.
Yep.
Right? Or the
but
specific
the stuff really matters.
Yeah.
But I can see it's happened over the years where I'm not sure how old your kids are. Mine are 5 and 4. So
Mine are much older.
I'm looking forward to those years. But like now with the kids, like they'll bring over their tablet and they're like, Dad, I want to get on YouTube Kids or something. And then every now and then it pops up like a math question. So like little kids can't get into adult. And I find myself 9 times out of 10 opening up my iPhone, going to the calculator and be like, what's 9 times 8? Like I can't remember this off the top of my head. So I think we've gotten to that point where it's like some of the like critical thinking piece. But at the same token too, I'm like, when you look at it in the school setting, is it really worth the time to have our kids memorize who the first 20 presidents of the United States were? Or should we just show them how to search for that online? Like, what's the value of them knowing that? Like, if somebody stops you on the street, puts a gun in your head and be like, who's the 14th president of the United States? Like, that's never going to happen. Right. Like, let's spend time thinking about more critical things that are actually going to evolve our minds.
Yeah, I think there's a specialization of the brain going on, which is like, do you need to know all 14 presidents? No. But the context of history of our country, you should know.
1,000%.
Right?
1,000%.
Right? So yeah, and like, do you need to know what 9 times 4 is? No. Right? Our brains are still limited in their capacity to retain information. So it's almost like you're switching it from some of these things that were important in one age because you had to do it in order to make your business work or get your task done.
Yep.
Now that you've got tools for that, it's no different than having had tools in the past, right? Like when the Gutenberg press came out, all of a sudden people didn't have to handwrite anymore and scribe. That means that they could spend more time creating writing instead of writing.
Yep.
Right? So we're just redirecting our brains to focus on different things.
Yeah.
And it's hard to let go of those things that felt so critical and important to us as children, right? And now we're seeing our generation come up as like, why aren't you learning that? Well, but they're also learning things that we never had to learn.
Exactly. And I'm thinking, too, where I heard this. You remember the artist Khalees? She wrote, "My milkshake brings up." So Khalees is actually genius. Like, she actually lives in Africa now, which Africa is something I've been studying big time because Africa is actually the fastest growing continent in terms of population in the world right now. I think within the next 5 years, they're going to have the largest demographic of like teenagers or something like that.
Insane.
Yeah. And the natural resources and things that are in Africa are abundant. Like, it's just crazy. But she was on a podcast I was listening to where she likes to travel a lot and she wants to give her kids like these worldly experiences. So she determined that early on she was going to homeschool her kids. She revealed in her most recent podcast that her son is actually being taught by AI right now. And immediately, like, you can hear the jaws drop in the room, like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, why would you allow your kid to be taught by a computer? And the way she described it, first off, class sessions are like 2 hours a day, which when you really think about it, are our brains really retaining, like having a kid in school from like 7:30 a.m. to 3:30, how much are you really retaining in that amount of time? Because as adults, like I got to get up from my desk, God knows how many times, like to make sure I keep focused and can stay on track. But she talked about how it curates the education just for the kid. So if there's a lesson, let's say he's learning about math that day, and he does not understand something, it's not just going to move on and brush past it. It will ask, what is it about this that you don't understand? Okay, now I'm going to go back to this and explain it a different way in a manner that you're going to understand.
That's brilliant.
To me, that is genius.
Yeah.
Like, even whether it's learning a new language as an adult or whatever, but like I think people just have to get used to the idea that the world is changing. It doesn't have to be the way you and I grew up with it, and be willing to accept that, because the ones who I always look at Blockbuster and Netflix. Do you want to be Blockbuster or you want to be Netflix? Yeah. Like Blockbuster should literally be one of the largest companies in the world.
They
still
changed 2 years too slow, right?
And even when I got to hear a talk from one of the original founders of Netflix, he actually came to Richmond one time for a chamber meeting. And he talked about it. And there were moments where, number one, Netflix actually wanted Blockbuster to purchase them. Blockbuster refused. Then the tide started to shift and Netflix became the big boy. Netflix came to them and said, well, hey, we'll buy you. And Blockbuster was like, nah, get out of here. Like, we're the OG. We're not going out like that. And even to the point where Blockbuster knew they were going bankrupt, Netflix extended the olive branch one more time. Like, hey, we're willing to buy you. You don't have to go out like this. And they said, nope, like the Titanic. I'm going down with the sinking ship.
It makes no sense.
No sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Sorry, now I just went off on a tangent. Let me ask you this as we wrap up. One thing I always like to ask entrepreneurs is, to me, there's no such thing as work-life balance when you're an entrepreneur. Like, our minds are constantly going. I think it's just, moving certain things at different periods. How has that been like for you because it sounds like you're like me on a much higher intellectual level in terms of like the way your brain just doesn't stop.
Seriously doubt that.
But the way your brain doesn't stop, that like you're probably walking into a room, same way I walk into a room and like I'm seeing visually like, okay, if I was filming this, I'd film it this way, blah, blah, blah. And like a million thoughts are going through my head and nobody is none the wiser what I'm thinking. So you probably walk into a room and be like, oh, I'd change that lighting. I'd move those plants over there. I'd add more. I'd put this book over here, blah, blah, blah.
That team needs help.
Yeah, all that. So talk to us about the balance with home life and work life.
It has always been hard, I think, for me, because, and it feels bad to say it sometimes, when I find joy in the work, it doesn't feel like work. Yeah. Like you just want to keep doing it because you're fascinated by it, right? But you can, when you're in that mode, you will burn yourself out and you won't know it. Mm-hmm. And you're probably very well, and anyone who's an entrepreneur probably feels that. Like you don't want to admit that you're burnt out because you could just a couple more hours, a couple more days. I had a boss tell me a long time ago, Mike Moville, if you're watching this, Mike, this is for you. Told me a long time ago, you need to think about work-life balance not as a daily thing, but as a weekly thing and as a monthly thing. And not to say that you need to like work 100 hours every week. Yeah. But he said, give yourself the grace of seeing life as bigger than a day. Mm-hmm. And make sure that when you do that, that you are giving yourself the time with your family that you and your family deserve. Mm-hmm. So when you are with your family, be with your family. Yeah. And I think I try and take that to heart. And I know my wife, Lisa's listening to this right now. She'll be like, keep working.
My wife probably says something. Right?
But when you are with your family and you are with your friends, be with them. Yeah. Right?
Be in the moment.
And you got to so in order to do that, I always try and think about like, what do I need to do to allow myself to shut down and give myself that permission or strong arm myself into being in that space. Yeah. And sometimes it takes like 24 hours. Yeah. Right? To be like, okay, I'm calming down. Mm-hmm. Anxiety levels around what I was just working on, I'm letting them go. Yep. And then you kind of get into the zone and just let it go for a while.
Yeah. That reminds me of recently, or not recently, I guess in the past year, LeBron James got the highest scoring title, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And the thing I remember about that, because MJ is my GOAT, not LeBron. He ain't even close. LeBron may be top 5 for me. He ain't number 1. But amazing photo. Bron's hitting that final shot, crowd of, I don't know, 20,000 people. Every person you see in that picture is sitting there with their cell phone up, capturing the moment like this. And there is one gentleman in that photo who was just standing there with his hands in his pocket, living in the moment.
Yeah.
And it was Phil Knight of Nike. He was the only
That's
one
amazing.
in that picture that did not have a cell phone in his hand, which to me is also crazy the way we think about this. Because like you think about like the last time you were out like for 4th of July and you saw fireworks. Everybody's pulling out their cell phone and recording. When do you ever go back and pull out your phone and be like, oh, let me watch that fireworks show from 2022? You never do. So just live in the moment, because guess what? If you didn't capture it, somebody else did. And if you want to go on YouTube later and catch it, it's there. But yeah, that point of like just living in the moment. And that's honestly been probably one of the hardest things for me as an entrepreneur, is like fully detaching, because especially I think it all started to change once I became a father.
I was going to say, and as a story capturer.
Yeah. And when you realize that, like, you know, some of these moments that we're in, you may not ever have a situation like this again. And it's like, live in this moment. But I also reflect as a father, and I never want my children, let's say they're on a podcast interview one day and they're like, hey, how was your dad, like, with you growing up? Like, was he present? Oh, yeah, he was there, but he wasn't really there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever want my kids to say something like that about me. I want to make sure I'm present in those moments.
Well, I will say, last note to that, it is the parallel between the phone situation that has made it so easy for us to always be pulling out that phone. Mm-hmm. Same situation. Use your phone. Take a picture.
No.
Put it away.
That's it.
Right? Find that 1 or 2 moments where you're going to do it, and then stop trying to capture everything. Yeah. That's just like life. It's like, fine, like do that work thing. Even if you're on vacation and you need an hour, guess what? Get up early before everyone else gets up.
Yep.
Get it done. Close the laptop and then go be.
Yep.
Go be in the moment.
Yep. It's a good lesson for me to hear, because I'm going on vacation next week with the family to Myrtle for a week. And I'm the one that likes business and pleasure is a perfect vacation for me. Like it's impossible for me to sit still more than 3 days at a time. I just can't do it. So like, to me, my wife always jokes about this, but I'm like, hey, if I can get somebody to fly me out, like I'm talking to this company now, they're maybe flying me to Vegas for a conference in October. And I'm like, if I can get somebody to pay for me to go out, I flatten my gums for an hour, and then I got the next 48 hours to do whatever we want, that is a perfect vacation to me. Like,
well, that is a perfect vacation that was enabled by a business opportunity. Yeah. So the vacation is still the vacation.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Last thing, let me ask you this before we close. Like, if someone wanted to, because the skill set you have, honestly, I meet a lot of people, and I've never met someone that has broken down like the lighting and the environment and the plants and all these different things. Will you work with people on a consultant basis or anything like that? Like, if somebody's listening to this right now, because I'm often the type where I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. Even if somebody shows me how to do it, I don't have time for that shit. Yeah. Can I just hire you and get this done?
Yeah, we do it. We do. We kind of think of ourselves in 2 ways. So we work with innovation teams and organizations, probably as a core, but organizations in general, helping them kind of think through their collaborative capability. So we think about the human level stuff.
Yeah.
And we obviously have skill set in that. And then from a physical space perspective, often we think of ourselves as almost like an intermediary between architectural firm and even interior design firm and organization.
Yeah.
Because somewhere we often find that translation gets missed. And that's not to say that architectural firms and interior design organizations don't understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They do. But the difference is that we live and breathe what the client does in terms of how they work. Mm-hmm. And we have seen and kind of shouldered up in those experiences. Yeah. So we can make a very real connection between all of these, environmental manifestations in space and the reality of what's doable, affordable, but also practically like useful versus it's a great idea. It would be beautiful aesthetically, but is it really going to do anything to enable your team's productivity? So we do. We've done that with a couple of different organizations so far. So.
Awesome. All right. If people want to get in touch with you guys, they want to learn about you, they want to come check out the space, where can they go to get more information?
Yeah, I would say you can certainly go to lostoffice.co and start there. And then you can always reach out to me, Christian Markow. That's C Markow, Markow at lostoffice.co, or Mark Brown at Lost Office. That's M Brown at lostoffice.co.
Good stuff.
And we'll hook you up.
Good stuff.
We love to talk. We love coffee.
Dude, this was an awesome conversation, man. Thanks so much for stopping by today.
I appreciate it. I loved it too.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you guys on the next episode.